There you go. Welcome to the Week 4 feature of the Philly Sports Reports Eagles pregame show brought to you by SeatGeek. Use code Philly Sports Reports to save $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Could you hear me through that? I don't know if you could hear me.
I heard you.
Could? All right, perfect. That music was kind of getting annoying. Today, the Eagles are coming off a dominant victory over the Washington Commanders and Carson Wentz in Washington. They return home to a rainy Lincoln Financial Field and take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, led by Super Bowl head coach Doug Peterson. In Week 4, it's the biggest test the Eagles have had all season. I am Ben Goldstein, joined by Sam Hine. Sam, how are we doing today?
Doing great. Excited for another Eagles game. Hoping they can move to 4-0 and keep being the only undefeated team in the NFL going.
Yeah, still kind of hard to believe we're looking at a undefeated team in Philadelphia. We don't get these a lot, so it's kind of,
Last time they were 3-0 was Doug and Carson's first year. Carson's rookie year looked like a star, and that season kind of turned around for the worst. Ended up 7-9. So let's hope that this one doesn't go the same way.
I don't think it's going to go the same way. I'm going to be honest with you.
And then the last
All right, let's get under.
Time they were 4-0 was the year they went to the Super Bowl in 2004. Last time they were 4-0. So
there you go. All right, let's get this show on the way. We are starting with the quarterback matchups today. We have Clemson alum Trevor Lawrence and Oklahoma alum Jalen Hurts, also from Alabama as well. So two big schools. What are your thoughts on Trevor Lawrence so far this year?
He's looked well. He's looked really good. I mean, last year he kind of was put in one of the worst situations for a rookie quarterback with Urban Meyer, and then that whole situation, and they didn't really have a lot of weapons for him last year. So I think that this year, with Doug, we saw what Doug did with Carson and Carson's second year. Trevor coming out is one of the best prospects in the last 20 years. I heard something on the radio. One of the draft experts, was saying that if you took a draft of all the quarterbacks coming out of college in the last 20 years, he'd probably go top 5. So he has a ton of talent, and he's definitely been showing that a lot more this year. They helped him out by adding some wide receivers in the offseason. They have a good running game, but yeah, he's looked good. So it's definitely going to be a good test for the defense today.
Yeah, well, I'm going to look over last game in Los Angeles against the Chargers. The Jaguars won 38-10, a stunning victory, which put the Jaguars back on the map. Lawrence in that game was 28-39 with 262 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks, with a 71.7 QB rating. So I've been impressed with Lawrence this year. Obviously, he didn't have. I mean, it was, as you said, he was put into a horrible situation this year, but he's really proving himself this year that he can be that kind of guy. We're gonna move over to Jalen Hurts now. Another great performance from Jalen Hurts last week in Washington. I almost said Los Angeles. What are you feeling about Jalen Hurts today? It's a little rainy. It's his first time really playing in this kind of weather in Philadelphia. What are you looking for him from today?
One of the biggest things I'm looking for in Hurts today would be to hold on to the football and to make smart decisions, because with the rain, it's not the best weather to throw the football in. So there's going to be a lot of running, potentially a lot of quarterback running. So I think one of the biggest things is just to be smart with the football. But if, the weather does slow down a little bit, I'm expecting another big day. Hurts has been on fire to start the season. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez, they got great receivers. So, I'm just expecting them to continue. At this point of the season, I was skeptical coming into the season, I'll be honest, about Jalen. Last year they had to take the ball out of his hands, and he's really proved everyone that he's worked on his game in the offseason. And, through 3 weeks, I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm just expecting him to keep playing the way he's been playing. And that way he's been playing as a top 5 quarterback in the league, second in MVP. And I don't expect anything less than that today. While the stats might not be there throwing the ball wise with the rain, I still expect him to be smart with the football he has and still show us that he is that quarterback and continue to grow.
Yes. By the way, in London, their game just got wrapped up. The Vikings pulled out the victory, 28-25. You want to hear how that game ended?
Sure. Is it
A
Rager?
double doink.
Oh my god. I thought you were gonna say Rager
61
did
yard,
something.
61-yard field goal from the Saints, off the top, off the bottom.
Wow, well, that was big for us because we got their pick and now they're 1-3. So
if the season ended today, the Eagles would have the 3rd overall pick
and 32
in the draft. Yes. We'll go back to Jalen Hurts. Last game in Washington, he was 22 for 35, 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Was sacked 3 times for 12 yards and had a QB rating of 85.7. I was optimistic about Hurts this year. I said that a lot, and really, it's coming off well. I've been a huge Jalen Hurts fan. I mean, after the draft, obviously, I wasn't thrilled, but I liked what he did in 2020 when they benched Wentz, and seeing that he's finally catching some people's attention, would like to say I've been there from the start. So, we're gonna move on.
One more thing on Jalen. I think one of the biggest things with him, he's always been a great athlete, but I think one of the biggest questions was about his ability to read a defense. And I think that you saw that last week in Washington, that he's really grown in that aspect. The one play where A.J. Brown got his first touchdown with the Eagles, you saw him see that they were in zone. And he, checked to a play where if the safety went to Devontae, he had A.J. open, which ended up happening. But if the safety went to A.J., then he had Devontae open. So that's a really good job of reading the defense, changing the play at the line. And then when they scored that touchdown, Devontae's touchdown, the play wasn't even in the playbook. He just ran up. He read the defense. He saw what they were in, and he pulled out a play that wasn't even in that week's game plan because he knew Devontae had single coverage on the outside on a dude that he had mossed twice already in the game. So I think that that's the biggest, obviously Jalen's been playing great, but one of the biggest things for him is that he's able to now understand defenses more, be able to see what he's, going at the line of scrimmage and all that kind of stuff.
You think we get another dominant Hurts day?
I think so. I mean, the Jaguars defense, I believe one of their starting cornerbacks is out, but their defense is big on the lines. They got Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, who are both, studs. And obviously, Trayvon Walker, number 1 overall pick, has shown that, he's worthy of that pick so far this year. So I think that actually matches up kind of well against us because we do have, according to a bunch of guys, the number 1 ranked offensive line. So if there's anybody in the league that I want to go after Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen, that's Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson. So I think that it's a good matchup for Hurts today. And like I said, just hold on to the ball, be smart with it, take your passes when they're there because it's a mess out there today.
Doug Peterson is returning to Lincoln Financial Field for the first time since he was fired. I mean, they literally built a statue outside the stadium of this guy, and he's returning back today. Don't like that statue, by the way. I'm not a fan.
Why not? Why not?
They had so many better options that they could have chosen. They could have done full sketching it.
That's the thing, that they didn't build it. It was given to them by Bud Light because they said, "Do you want Philly, Philly?" And then they had the whole ad of Dilly Dilly. So then they used it, and Bud Light actually made the if you go and look at the statue on the bottom, it says, "Do you want Philly, Philly?" And it says like provided to the Eagles or donated to the fans of Philadelphia by Bud Light. So they actually didn't build it. Bud Light donated it to the Eagles.
Bud Light still had better options than that. They could have put "You Want Philly, Philly" at the bottom and put him catching the ball because people. The iconic photo of it is him catching the ball, not him.
Yeah.
Peterson on the sideline. Yeah. Doug Peterson returning today. How will the Eagles handle him and his offense?
So first off, I want to say that I think that Doug's going to get a huge ovation. I've seen people on Twitter and everywhere being like, "Don't boo Doug, don't boo Doug." Nobody's going to boo Doug. That's just That's just stupid in my opinion. Nobody's gonna boo Doug. But I think, it's one of the big things for the Jaguars is that they've added some talent at the wide receiver position this offseason. They got Marvin Jones and Christian Kirk. Obviously, Christian Kirk was kind of a debated signing in the offseason because he was given so much money, but he's been playing really well. He's been their number one receiver. And Avonte Maddox is out. So Christian Kirk spends, over 80% of his time in the slot. So I think that that's going to be a big challenge for the offense today is figuring out what you're going to do with Kirk and what you're going to do in that slot. And also, they got two good running backs. ETN, he was injured last year, but I think he has a lot of talent. He was a first round pick. I think it's just a matter of time before he gets really going. And then you have James Robinson. Luckily the Eagles, besides DeAndre Swift, so far have been able to shut out running backs pretty well. But like we said earlier, it's going to be pouring rain today, so there's going to be a lot of running. So we just got to make sure that we stop the running game. And, the ETN can catch the ball out of the backfield really well. Robinson has the big playability. You saw that last week. He had like a 50-yard touchdown run. So if we can tackle at the line and dominate the line of scrimmage, I think we're going to be okay stopping Doug's offense today.
Trevor Lawrence, what should the Eagles do to adjust to what he does?
So they haven't really been pushing the ball down the field too much so far this season. I heard Ron Jaworski actually said that they had 13 throws behind the line of scrimmage against the Chargers. So I think that they're trying to get him easy throws, kind of like what the Eagles did with Carson every once in a while back in 2017 when they were starting to get him going. They had a lot of short throws for him, and then Carson also had a great ability to throw the ball deep, but they would take their shots when they were there. So I think that for Lawrence, we just have to make sure that we're able to tackle really well today. We had a big problem against the Lions with tackling, but we kind of shorted up. And if Lawrence is just going to, dink and dunk and kind of throw the ball really short, then we just got to make sure that we're tackling. And then, of course, last week, I don't really think the Jaguars have a great offensive line. So if we can get to him early, he is still a young player, young quarterback. He only has one pick this year, but that doesn't mean that if he's under constant pressure, he's not going to throw one up.
I agree. This is a big game for the Birds, and we are heading to the middle of the NFL season. We're in week 4 already.
It's so fast.
And we have seen how teams are, and obviously the Eagles, very good so far. Also, MLB postseason is coming. I don't know how we're already here. We're last week of the MLB season. The NFL and the NBA are soon to be underway. We're already in October. They're starting this month. The MLS Cup finals or playoffs are coming. There's so much going on in sports right now. It's a great time to head out to a sports game. And the best way to do that is through SeatGeek, who is the sponsor of today's show. When you're buying tickets, SeatGeek makes it so incredibly easy. All you got to do is go to SeatGeek.com or download the SeatGeek app and make an account. You're going to look up the team you want to go to. So today, let's say I want to go to the Eagles game today. I'm going to look up the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to click on the game that I want to go to. You'll see green and red dots around the stadium. The green dots are the good dots. You want to stay there. Those are the good deals. The red dots you want to stay away from. Those are the bad deals. When you get your ticket and you're in checkout, and it asks you if you want to use a promo code, use code Philly Sports Report. It's literally right down the screen. It's not, you can't miss it. Code Philly Sports Report, and you will save $20 off your first order. It's a tremendous deal. And with everything going on in sports right now, you got to go to a game. You have to. And the best way to get tickets is to SeatGeek. So if you're trying to get tickets to a game, look at SeatGeek first and use code Philly Sports Report for $20 off your first SeatGeek order. We'll head back to our segment, our show. Any notable matchups you have today?
So I think kind of when we talked about a little bit earlier, it's definitely going to be Christian Kirk versus whoever the Eagles are going to be playing in the slot. We have C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who played a lot in the slot for the Saints, but the Eagles don't really like to move around two players if they don't have to. We've kind of seen that with offensive line injuries, that they won't really slide guys. They're kind of plug-and-play guys. So, they might move CJ in there. They might play Josiah Scott there. So that's going to be a huge matchup is Christian Kirk against whoever we're playing in the slot. And then I think another one will be whoever is replacing Griffin, the cornerback for the Jaguars, who I don't believe is playing today. If I'm not sure how the Jaguars do their defense, if they're defense who sticks one corner on one side of the field and doesn't follow, or if they follow. But whoever's matched up against that backup cornerback, either AJ or Devontae, they need to take advantage and win that matchup.
I kind of was gonna say exactly what you said. So you stole it right out of me. Let's injury report today. The Eagles have two guys out. Vontae Maddox with an ankle issue. On Thursday, I think it was a practice. Actually, friend the Philly captain broke this news. Vontae Maddox was carted off the field. And then Boston Scott has a rib issue. So with the rain, I feel like losing Boston Scott hurts because you're gonna have to run the ball a lot since the ball is gonna be wet. So losing Boston Scott's big, but when you have a running quarterback, I think you're okay.
And one of the other things for the running game is they activated Trey Sermon for the first time this year. They claimed him off waivers from the 49ers, who was a third-round pick last year. He's kind of like a bigger back, kind of like the Jordan Howard type. So in a rainy game like today, you can, we're going to need to use everybody to run the ball. So I'm excited to see what he does and what he's got in the tank because, he was a high draft pick. And the 49ers, do have a lot of running backs. So it's not surprising that he shook loose. And I'm just excited to see what he's got in the tank.
Our keys to the game, sponsored by SeatGeek. What are your keys to the game?
All right. So I think one of the biggest keys to the game is to dominate the lines today. We talked about it a lot, but it's going to be pouring out there all day long. And the field, I saw a video where they took the tarp off around like 10:30. The tarp was just completely soaked, completely covered. So if we can dominate, our offensive line dominates their defensive line, and we're able to run the ball, that's huge. And I think that will be a big help in helping us winning this game. And then our defensive line dominates their offensive line. It seems simple, but with a day like today, you got to stop the run. And if James Robinson and Travis Etienne are running crazy in our backfield, then we're probably not going to win this game. And so we just need those lines to really step up today and dominate. And hopefully we can run the ball down their throats and leave here 4-0.
Here's a question: who does the weather favor today?
So I've been thinking about this all day, honestly, kind of struggling with this. I've thought about this a lot myself. The way that we've been running the ball recently, we haven't been running it great, I would say. Last year we were the number one rushing team in the league. A lot of that helped because of Jalen. But I do think that we would have the advantage because we have a rushing quarterback. Trevor Lawrence is like mobile, but he's not Jalen. And there's not a lot of guys who are like Jalen. Trevor Lawrence, if there's a guy in the backfield, he can step out and make a play. But he's not going to go and take off and run for 15 yards on 3rd and 15 and get us a first down. So while the Jaguars have been running the ball really well, I think that Jalen gives us the advantage with the weather today.
I agree with that. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. My key to the game.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
You can say yours.
Okay, so the other thing I had was just winning the turnover battle. I think one of the biggest things, obviously, I can't talk about this enough, is just the rain is just like, I was outside earlier, it is pouring. And we saw last week Britton Covey dropped a punt. I know the Jaguars have a pretty good punt returner. I believe he brought either their punt or kick returner returned a touchdown return a kick for a touchdown so far this year. And so I think that that's going to be huge, just making sure that you secure the punts and all that kind of stuff. And if you win the turnover battle, you're going to win the game, 90% of the time or whatever that stat is. So holding on to a ball and, fumbles and stuff, we remember the snow game here. It's not quite the same, but one of the biggest things was that there was a lot of fumbles and stuff like that. So just winning the turnover battle, being safe with the football, being smart with the football, not taking chances because there's going to be overthrows, there's going to be drops, like all that kind of stuff. So, just winning the turnover battle and being safe with the ball.
When Doug Peterson was announced a few seconds ago, he got a big standing ovation. So that's good to hear.
Good.
Apparently there was a few boos, but nothing. There was no tribute video, but he did get a big ovation, which is good to see. My key to the game: take advantage of the run. I mean, you have Miles Sanders, you have Jalen Hurts, Kenny Gainwell has. I feel like today's the Kenny Gainwell game. I feel like he has that one. He has that one game where he's going to go off, and that's going to be this game. Take advantage of the run, and it's wet. So obviously, as you said, so gotta run. And this O-line, I'm wearing the Kelsey jersey today. O-line's gotta obviously help. That's their job. Game predictions. People in the chat, comment your predictions of the game. Mr. Hine, what is your prediction today?
All right, so I think that this is going to be a little bit of a closer game than the last couple games have been. I think that the Jaguars are actually a pretty good team. They've been last week they completely dominated, but I do think that we do win the game. We've been scoring 24 and then on 24 a lot, so I'm going to go 24 again. I got 24-17 Eagles.
I'm around that range. I feel like it's going to be a gritty game today. I feel like both teams are going to not struggle, but have difficult time getting down the field. I feel like it'll be a good game for the Eagles defense. I got the Eagles winning, advancing to 4-0. I have the Eagles 21-17. It's going to be a very close game, very tight, but I feel like the Eagles pull out the win. Predictions from the chat: 34-24 Eagles. I don't know if they're going to get 34 points, but you never know with this team.
Maybe if Miles breaks one, we've seen him do that in the past. Breaks one open, you could see that. I think another part of the game that's going to be huge is Dallas Goedert in the screen game. He's very good in the screen game. Don't have to throw the ball far down the field. We've shown, our offensive line is great blocking in that. Got a touchdown last week. Maybe he breaks one. So, it's not possible. We can get there. Maybe if we actually scored some points in the second half, we'd be able to get there.
That might be an issue today, honestly. I don't know how that's going to go. All right. This has been the Philly Sports Reports Eagles pregame show brought to you by SeatGeek. Use code Philly Sports Reports for $20 off your first purchase. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow all of our social medias. And check out phillysportsports.com for the game recap by me today. I get to cover the game today. Very exciting.
There you go.
Enjoy the game, everyone. Thank you, Sam, for joining me. And go Birds.
Go Birds.